alert and ready to observe. And we're going to see if welcome, everyone. How was your lunch? Good? We're going to see if you had a good lunch or not. I'm going to start with asking you a question. So let's start with the Q&A, but I'll start with a question. It's after lunch, so we need to make sure that everybody is alert and ready to observe and to digest what we're going to discuss this afternoon. Let's start over here with Mr. Sandro. How are you, Sandro?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Where are you from, Sandro?
From London.
London, okay. Sorry about yesterday. You lost the Euro, but I think you went to the final, so it was a very good game, by the way.
Ask a question. How many World Cups have Canada won?
Okay. What? Semi-final. It was not that bad. We're not expecting to be good. I think we're ranked like 5,000 out of countries around the world for this cup. Thank you. I have a quick question I will ask to you, Sandro. Sell me internal audit.
Internal auditors see the bigger picture because they're slightly removed, and therefore they're able to join the dots and support management in being highly successful.
Good. Thank you, Sandro. Round of applause for Sandro. Thank you very much. Okay? It's a very tough question. Kevin, where are you from, Kevin?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida. Love Florida. Sell me internal audit, Kevin.
Internal audit gives assurance to the organization that the controls are in place so that the sales organization can sell with similar to brakes on a car. They're there so you can go fast and you can rely on them.
Very good. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Kevin as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Okay, I'm going to switch with this microphone if you don't mind. Okay. Why am I talking about value creation? Why am I asking you to sell internal audit? Everybody have seen this? Sell me internal audit or sell me this pen from a movie? Yes? The Wolf of Wall Street. Okay? So we need to be able to sell ourselves as internal auditor. Okay? So that's why value-based internal audit is quite important for me. Okay? So why is that important? Okay? I've read, I think you may have looked at the presentation this morning coming from Vision 2035, okay? 50% of our stakeholders or 50% of internal auditors think that our stakeholders are misunderstanding internal audit, okay? I stand on audit committee, I coach sometimes audit committee as well, and I can tell you it's true. And from my point of view, sometimes it's more than 50%. 45% of internal auditors say we need more support coming from the leadership, coming from the audit committee as well. Okay? So clearly, there's an imbalance with what we are selling and what people are buying, okay, with the offer and the demand. So that's why I'm talking about this. Why is it important for you? Okay? One of the statistics that was very important in Vision 2035 is that 75% of internal auditors, okay, are excited about providing value and adding value to the organization. So you see that there's quite an imbalance between these two statistics, okay? So this is important to make sure that we are filling the gap, okay, but making sure that we understand the expectation coming from them, okay? So on balance, because we don't know what we are selling. We don't know what we are creating as value. We think that we are creating value, but we're not filling the expectation coming from the leadership and the audit committee as well. Okay? So during the next 45 minutes, I'm going to give you some basic understanding of the concept of value-based internal auditing. Second, it will be opportunities for action, actionable action for you, okay? Deliverable that you can have, okay, something that you will be able to use when you're back at home. And lastly, but surely, okay, how to measure the value added of internal audit, okay? The cost of internal audit in some organization is quite high, okay? And people want to have a good return on this investment, of course, okay? Let me start by introducing myself, by the way. Thank you for the gentlemen who have answered our question so far. My name is Daniel Lebel. I'm passionate about internal audit, okay? Maybe I was like you when I was way younger, when I started in internal audit, okay? I said, okay, maybe I'm going to spend like 3 years doing internal audit, and then I'm going to start going into operation. I'm always coming back to internal audit because I'm passionate about internal audit, okay? I used to be a chief audit executive, 25 years of experience. Okay. It's more than 25 years, because you stop at 25 years, because if you go over this limit, oh, it's an old guy. Okay. So more than 25 years of experience as chief audit executive. But now I'm an audit committee member. Okay. I am on the other side, and sometimes I have to explain to people in internal audit or in the audit committee what are the expectations. What can internal audit do and cannot do, okay? So first, don't take into account that audit committee understands internal audit, okay? I'm coaching and I'm going and doing a lot of workshop, how to innovate in internal audit, but also workshops sometimes with the audit committee for them to understand what internal audit are able to deliver. And sometimes I'm sitting around the same table to make sure that they talk to each other and understand what should be the right deliverable as well. Okay. I have a slight accent in French, you may have heard, okay? I'm French-Canadian, okay? It's a bit weird to be French-Canadian because you speak French, but you're not French. You live in America, but you're not an American, okay? When you speak French, you have a funny accent, okay? And when you speak English, you have a funny accent as well. So it's quite a bit tricky to be French-Canadian, but I love my country as well. It's a pleasure to be in Washington for this week, and I hope you will be enjoying Washington like I do as well. Okay? So let's start. You know how to use this, okay? We will be having some polling questions don't answer this one, but you will be able to poll some question. I'm going to start with the first question beside the one that I just asked these two gentlemen over here. I want to take a minute to acknowledge the presence of people who are deaf in our audience over here. Okay, so you see we have two interpreters on both sides, okay? People who are making signs. I really like what I'm seeing right now. I stand on the audit committee of Handicap International. Handicap International, we are raising more than 500 million euros worldwide to help people in situation of handicap. By the way, I'm just making some promotion, but it's we're dedicated to help people in handicap in situation in country where sometimes handicapped people are put aside of the society. So maybe a bit of a round of applause for these two interpreters and people who are attending this session today. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so let's start with the first question over here, okay? And it's a tough question, okay? What creates value in internal auditing? I'm going to start by asking you this question. Sometimes I ask this question to internal auditors. Some start crying. Some say they go deep and they don't want to answer. They look somewhere else. But we need to understand this question as well. We need to be able to answer this question, okay? Because we have different expectations coming from the board, coming from the audit committee, coming from the other stakeholders as well. But as internal auditor, we need to know how we'll be creating value in the organization, okay? So we see that we don't have a common view about this, okay? Because it's quite spread out, okay, as you can see. I see some finding, I see some empathy, okay? Thank you very much, I like this. Trust, relevance, risk mitigation, assurance, okay? And some people say, hey, this words look good. So I'm going to put this again as well, okay? So relevance, I really like what I'm saying, by the way, okay? Relevance, but what does it tell us, relevance, when we are talking about measuring value of internal audit? Thanks for answering, okay? Relevance, assurance, and risk mitigation. Efficiency, we're going to talk about efficiency as well. Thank you for answering this question. So during the next 45 minutes, okay, we're going to look at these three things, okay? What is value-based internal audit? There's some concept that we need to understand. Where is it coming from? Why do we end up using this terminology? Why is it kicking in since a few years? What generates value in internal audit, okay? And I'm going to give you my personal opinion as an audit committee member, okay? My personal opinion as a committee member, okay, may not be the one that we see sometime in the C-suite, may not be the one that you're seeing in your organization, okay? I'm going to see who you should be trying to please as well. And how to generate and measure value added, okay? Before you want to measure this value, okay, you want to say, what's giving me some value? I'm going to give you some tips and some actionable items to make sure that you will be able to put in your organization. Let's do a little backward, okay, for those who are a lot of young people in the audience today, okay? Where are we coming from and where we are at right now, if you want my opinion, okay? This is a slide that I really like coming from II Australia. Anybody from Australia over here? Yeah? Oh, thank you for making the trip, okay? Oh, there's one over here, okay? So, it's a very long trip. Thank you for making this trip. I like if you want to look at innovative practices in internal audit, I really like what you're doing in Australia. I don't know if it's because you're very far from everywhere, from everyone in the world, okay? But I really like the stuff that you are doing, okay? You said, okay, everybody's far away, okay, we're going to do our stuff, we're going to innovate. I really encourage this, okay? It started, by the way, by compliance. So if you're still doing compliance, okay, for me, as an audit committee member, I'm saying, are you still living in the past? Okay, because it started because we needed some people to do some compliance, okay, long time ago. Of course, maybe some of you were there when the system kicked in during the 1980s and 1990s, okay? It was based on a system, okay? After this, okay, we said we want to implement manual and, of course, automated control. Next was, okay, the next phase was we will base on the risk, okay? And of course, risk-based internal auditing is still in the technique that we are using, and this is still what is the base for the standard as well, okay? Doesn't mean that it's not good to be value-based internal audit. Doesn't mean that it's not good to do some compliance, okay? But need to take in consideration that might be other approach to move on the right side and to be more contemporary regarding this. After this, we say, okay, we want to be a partner in the organization. Okay, a lot of organization of internal audit, I step into this role. Okay, try to become more a partner and less a policeman. Okay, but something that emerged during the pandemic, okay, where the focus was on the services, was to improve the organization. How can we add value to the organization? Okay, so that's why II Australia started talking about this during the pandemic. And I'm a big fan of this because now being an audit committee member, I really like when we are using this approach. Okay, why does it stand for? Okay, let's start with what is value-based internal audit as the first step. Okay, if we look at this fact sheet from the IIA Australia once again, okay, I really like what they are saying, okay, because they are seeking a methodology where internal auditor perform forward-looking, we cannot be against this, okay, and services to offer insight and actively seek innovation. Sometimes internal auditors and innovation doesn't go in the same phrase, okay? So you need to take a look in your organization, who will be the agent of change, okay, regarding innovation in your own departments. You cannot ask everyone to change in your department. Some people will feel, okay, sometimes I have some people, my own age, they say, okay, I feel I've been doing this all my life, I want to use the same methodology. Okay, maybe we'll give this person some type of engagement that I think it's filling the gap over here. But we need to seek people with innovation, okay? To improve an organization, we cannot go against this. Seeking to do this from the audit perspective, the audit client perspective. This is a new concept, okay? What is the audit client perspective? We need to look at our people that are a stakeholder in the organization, the auditee, the C-suite, and the audit committee as well. So I really like this approach, okay? So maybe I'm going to ask you to focus if you're using this. They call it a methodology, but for me it's more a concept, okay? Using different tools, using different techniques, okay? And using the different type of technology in order to perform the work of internal audit, okay? I really like what I'm saying on this, okay? Because what I'm looking for, okay? It doesn't mean that it's only the tools that we are looking. It's not only the approach, but it's a combination of all these types of concepts, okay? You're going to have access to, I see a lot of people taking pictures, okay? It's a nice graph, again, coming from IA Australia. Okay, you will have you can download the presentation without any problem, okay? First, stakeholders, the stakeholders relation, I think that for me is the most important one to take into consideration, okay? What is my partnership model in my organization regarding internal audit, okay? And for this, the chief audit executive is key. If your chief audit executive is not buying this, if your chief audit executive is not good at with the relation with the stakeholder, okay, you're going in with 2 strikes against you already, okay? So don't try to use it if your chief audit executive does again this, okay? Doesn't mean that your audit committee needs to embed into this, okay? Your chief audit executive needs to be the salesperson to make sure that it will be sold to the organization and to the audit committee as well. We're going to see different approach during the next slide as well, okay? Continuous risk assessment, integrated auditing, agile audit approach as well. I think this is key in order to add value to the organization. The way that we are resourcing as well the function of internal audit, we'll need to work with innovation regarding if we have guest auditors, rotation program. In a lot of organizations, when I'm going, they're asking me how they could be use it more strategic, okay? Sometimes they use internal audit as a step for maybe future leader in the organization. They will spend maybe 1 year, the future leader, they're going out of the university sometime, okay? They will spend 1 year in strategic planning, and they will spend 1 year in internal auditing, okay? Internal auditing is one of the best schools that you can have in an organization to have a 360. And sometimes I see people that are entering this 2 years program with leadership program being of course, strategic and internal audit. Sometimes they want to stay longer in internal audit, okay? It's not what I thought I would be doing, okay? I think if you have the right approach, you will be able to retain them as well, okay? So sometimes we need to work with HR in order to make this happen, okay? And it goes without saying that technology will be a big part of it, as you have seen this morning. I don't want to repeat what has been told this morning because I think it's already in your mind, okay? But as well with the strategic foundation, okay? You know that you have to fulfill now the new requirement of having a strategic plan for internal audit, okay? Most of the organizations that I'm supporting, they already have this. Now it's going to be, finally, it will be a requirement coming from the IIE standard for you to have a strategic plan for internal audit. And it's one of the key of this, okay? These are the pillar of value-based internal audit, okay? If I want to summarize this, okay, doesn't mean that we will forget about risk, okay? But I'm taking this for granted that, okay, the risk that we are having, I think we know about this, we know how to use this, we know how to, I take this into account that most of you people, okay, are familiar with risk-based internal audit. But if we want to go on the right side with value-based audit, we should have a vision on what should go right, okay? I think I've Ahmed this morning, if you attended the session of Ahmed this morning, okay, they were talking about the same concept as well, okay? What should go right and what are the opportunities that we should be looking forward? The focus should not be on operation. Focus should be on the services that we are able to deliver as a function to add value, okay? Overall, we have to shift from audit risk to the client perspective as well. And the audit plan, of course, we need to have it with risk coverage, but we need to see how we will be adding value to the organization. So value-based audit plan will be taken into consideration. So let's see. talking about the concept, about what are the tools, what are some methodologies we're using, okay? Let's start with what generates value in internal audit by my vision from the audit committee. Let's start with this question, okay? How many types of engagements can internal audit perform in your organization? How many types of internal audits? Okay, not how many engagements you are delivering on a yearly basis. How many types of internal audit engagement are you able to deliver in your organization? So the first choice is 1 to 5. The second is 6 to 10. 20 and more. And, it doesn't go. Okay, so it goes by the popularity. 123. Who says better? So half of the people over here have between 1 and 5 types of engagement in internal audit that can be performed in their organization, okay? So maybe a quarter of the audience is 27%, between 6 to 10, and we have until 20 and more, 10%, okay? It's very important for you to measure this, okay? So how many types of services? What are the tools that internal audit are able to use? So you see that it's quite wide, the scope that we have over here, okay? I started doing this during the pandemic. I was getting a bit bored, okay? So I said, okay, I'm going to try. Are you familiar with the fraud tree? Fraud tree? All type of fraud that can happen or you can perform if you want to perform any fraud in your organization. So this is your shopping list. This is a nice tree. We don't have this as internal auditors, okay? So don't try to read this out, of course, okay? I'm working on this still at the moment. Now it's getting easier and easier to define this internal audit tree. How many, it's just an image over here, how many type of engagement you think that internal audit could be able to deliver, okay, including consulting and including assurance-based auditing? Give me a number. 8. More than this. 15. Who says more? Give me a number. I'm an accountant as well, so give me a number. 40. 40. Okay. Nobody says better. I'm not finished yet, and now I am at 258 types of internal audit engagement that we can be performing. Okay. Follow me on LinkedIn if we want to have the free result. Okay. We're going to be sharing this in English and French as well, okay? Don't try to read this on the screen over here. To say, okay, this is the tools that I can deliver to the organization, okay? It's not only compliance and assurance-based and some consulting. There's different types, of course, of branches that we can have. So trying to define this internal audit tree, and I'm pretty sure we'll be finishing around 300 types of engagement that we can deliver for the organization. So follow me on LinkedIn if you want to have the free one, okay? I think we'll be able to deliver this during the next week because it was quite difficult to do this before artificial intelligence. But now it's much easier with artificial intelligence. What was taking me 1 day before, 1 week, now it's taking me 1 hour, okay? So it's quite easy now. But you need to expand your services to make sure that you have the right tools to deliver, to add value. Second, I'm an audit committee member, okay? You need to make sure that who's your first customer in your organization as internal auditor? The audit committee, okay? Of course, you have the C-suite, you have the auditees, you have the regulators, okay? The audit committee should be your first customer, okay? Who has the right of life and death on the chief audit executive? Should be the audit committee. This is your answer. Who should be your first customer, okay? These are most likely the 8 types of responsibilities that your audit committee should or might have in your organization, coming from value analytics, okay, internal controls, of course, the internal audit function, financial statement, and one of my preferred one, major project transformation. Whether they are coming from major project regarding real estate, investment, information technology, okay, everything that could go wrong will go in the project. Okay, we're very good in auditing sometime recurring operation in an organization because it goes 365 days. Okay, but the project, if we're not there at the right moment, at the right place, okay, you just miss the risk. Okay, because it will be happening at one point. Okay, they want to shift the information from system A or system B. Okay, if you're just there like 3 weeks after, you're a dinosaur. You're dead. Okay, so you need to make sure that you will be looking at this. So ask yourself the question. Okay, how can the internal audit function support the audit committee for the other 7? Okay, have this discussion with your audit committee. Okay, I used to do this when I was a chief audit executive. Now I'm doing the reverse with this because now I'm seeing internal audit as being the continuous momentum maybe of the audit committee. So it's an extension for me. Internal audit should be an extension, okay, of the audit committee. Do you agree with me? Okay, I don't have staff for me in the organization. Of course, the CFO and the C-suite are telling me a lot of things regarding what they are doing, but I need to make sure that internal audit will be able to help me regarding the 7 other type of responsibility that I have. So make sure that you will be addressing this with your audit committee, of course. This one looks simple, okay? It's so basic, okay? You know about this rule? Okay? Pareto rule, okay? So you want to make sure that your effort and your result will be in line, okay? Internal auditors sometimes are not thinking about this. Yes, of course, they are thinking about this because they say, oh, we're going to take a look at what are the most important risks for the organization, and we're going to put some effort on this, okay? But sometimes, and I'm not talking about the mandatory engagement, but a typical assurance engagement that you have to perform. So sometimes when I see internal auditor, they put their hands on something, okay, and they say, I want to know everything about this, okay. I'm going to spend weeks and months understanding this, okay, and it's going to spend a lot of time understanding everything. I need to make sure that I will be auditing close to everything. For me, as audit committee member, I'm not looking at the big pie, the pie of result on the right side, okay. I want to have the 80%, okay? I want to make sure that what you are delivering in your report, okay, is adding value to the organization. Stop trying to boil the ocean, okay? And sometimes, typically, how long are your audits, by the way? Your engagement? Months? 3 months? 3 weeks? Okay, I've heard 6 months, okay. 8 weeks, okay, 8 weeks is not that bad, okay. But sometimes people say, okay, what's the value that you have brought with this, okay. And sometimes I know some organization, they say, okay, I'm going to put, okay, and sometimes because the type of engagement that they were delivering were too long, okay. So sometimes management has asked internal audit to say, what's the cost of the audit, okay. What is the cost of that? You were 3 person, you worked on this like for 7 or 8 weeks, okay? It's costing the organization a lot of money, okay? So what's the price that we have to do with this, okay? So make sure, and when I'm talking with people, they say, okay, we have 3 months engagement. I say, okay, try to look at what is the value added first, okay, at the 20% that will give you the 80%. I don't care about the 20% that you will be spending on this. So scope, okay, not the scope of all the work plan that you will have for the year, but the scope for your engagement is very crucial. If your scope is too large, of course, you say, I need to make sure that I will be complying with the scope, okay? So try, and I say, and it's not easy sometimes for internal auditors to think like this, try to have an agile scope, okay? Sometimes you know the topic that you'll be looking at it, okay? But you will be finishing by saying, okay, that's what I was able to cover, so this will be my scope for what I will be delivering to the organization in my report, okay? But our internal auditors are very skeptical about this, okay? I know it's not easy sometimes to finish with the scope, okay? But take this into account when you're talking about the different types of audit, of course. We've been hearing about agile auditing. Anybody applying agile auditing in the organization right now by raise of hand? Okay. I see like maybe 10%, I think it was 20% in the survey that we have seen this morning. If you're not applying agile auditing in the next 5 years, for me, you will be a dinosaur. Okay. So make sure, and sometimes people say, I'm going to wait, people will put this in place, I will see the pros and cons, I don't believe in this concept. I spoke to my audit committee about this, their nose was bleeding, and they don't think about this, okay? Make sure that you understand this concept. You don't need to go fully agile, but understand, okay, what's the difference between the traditional approach and the agile approach, especially with the one that are in red in this chart over here, okay? Some people will have an agile plan maybe for between 1 to 3 months, okay? Process will be more flexible, okay? So you're not able to see what will be the percentage of my plan that was accomplished at the end of the year because it will be evolving, okay? So you need to find different indicator than the traditional one that you are using. That might be easy, okay? Track the number of hours by audit and so on, okay? That will be maybe not easy for you to make this move as well. Partnership and scope, okay? Like I was mentioning, the scope, okay, will be changing, and this is not a concept that people are looking for sometime in internal audit. Say, tell me what I have to do, and I will be doing this, okay? But the return on investment, okay, you want to start with agile auditing, right? Okay, where will I generate value in this audit? During this engagement, I will generate value by this, this, and this, okay? And that's the beauty of it, okay? We'll say that, okay, the engagement duration will have a fixed term, okay? So we'll say that, okay, we have, some organization will be using 2 weeks, okay? I think you need to be very careful to say, okay, we have 2 weeks engagement, but sometimes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or I said maybe 6 weeks might be better option for you to start with, okay? So start with this and maybe try to be more agile in a way that you are doing your engagement. Don't do everything agile. Of course, you have mandatory, maybe something mandatory engagement that you still have to deliver, okay? But make sure that you understand and start with pilot project regarding agile auditing, okay? I want to come back in 5 years in this audience to say how many people are using agile auditing. I want to see at least 75% of the crowd using this, okay? Because if you want to use value-based internal audit, I rarely see organizations that are able to fulfill this requirement without being able to being agile also. Okay, let's talk a bit about artificial intelligence in internal audit, okay? This is your life before artificial intelligence, okay? We are presently here. This is the life after, I would say with artificial intelligence, okay? This is a picture of me. Sorry about this, okay? With artificial intelligence since last year, okay? Do you feel the same? Yeah? A lot of information to gather, okay? But it was the same like 30 years ago. 30 years ago when I started my career in internal audit, okay, we were starting doing data analytics, okay, there was another concept, okay. We were able to use ACL by putting a key in our computer, and when sometime we were doing some queries and so on, so the light were going down in the building because it was taking too much time and maybe too much effort coming from the computer. Okay, but 30 years after, we're still there. And I see coming from the information that has been shared this morning regarding data analytics, that's not everyone that's there. Okay, artificial intelligence, you see a lot of information. Okay, We can spend days over here just talking about artificial intelligence. Don't think about the risk of course, you have to think about this. But your focus should not be on the risk of artificial intelligence. But your focus should be on the opportunity for internal audit to use artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a risk for the organization. I wouldn't say I don't care. I know that it will be a risk that will be addressed by internal audit, like any other processes, like any other risk in the organization. You're good at assessing the risk, looking at this, looking at the governance and so on. I'm not scared about this. You were talking about when we did the first survey, the cloud survey, I saw a lot of people talking about efficiency. If we want to deliver efficiency, value-based audit, you will need to make sure to maximize the opportunity of using artificial intelligence in every stage of your engagement, every stage of your planning as well, every stage of your follow-ups, audits as well. Okay, so there's going to be a good session just next to mine in the same room over here if you want to attend it regarding generative AI for IA. Okay, so I salute if you want to look at this. But there's a lot of information. Okay, but go on the opportunity side, not only on the risk side for the organization. You are familiar with the 3 lines of defense model, okay, or 3 lines. Now everybody's calling this 3 lines of defense, okay. For me, as an audit committee member, you need to have a strong leadership coming from internal audit. Why is that, okay? I'm receiving a lot of calls coming from people because I'm giving workshop and training how to optimize the 3 lines of defense in some organization, okay. And 75% of the time, the call is coming from whom? From the audit committee, from the C-suite, or from the second line of defense. It's not coming from internal audit, okay? And they're calling me to say, okay, you know the 3 lines of defense, you're from internal audit. They don't understand this in internal audit. They don't understand clearly their role, okay? If there's no leadership coming from the internal audit regarding this model, okay, the second line and the first line will be shy to say, okay, we need to know what internal audit will be doing, okay? You have independency, okay? Doesn't mean that you have independency that you cannot take some leadership. Make sure, okay, that first you are playing the third line, okay? I'm fed up sometimes when people say, oh, we have 75% of our audit is compliance, okay? Compliance should be in the second line of defense in most organizations. Okay, it was the same when Sarbanes-Oxley came up many years ago. Okay, we started with internal audit. Okay, and most organizations will say we're going to ship this. Okay, to people who should be accountable under the management on the second line of defense regarding this. Okay, but take into consideration that sometimes it's so important that some part of this compliance program will still need to be audited by internal audit because of the risk for the organization. I don't have problem with this, okay? But the sole purpose of the second line, and sometimes it's for me to say, okay, in some organization we have cannibalized internal audit to say, okay, there was 4 or 5 person working on SOX. They should be now working on something else. So I need to cannibalize maybe my team, but it will be for the benefit of the organization. Again, by bringing value to the organization, okay? So if they are saying compliance in the second line of defense, they will be adding value to the organization. And we can be spending more time on something else, okay? But if we want to go from risk to value-based internal audit, we need to have a leadership role and provide combined assurance. Combined assurance coming from from the audit committee's perspective, the only player that can give me combined assurance are in the room over here. It's the internal auditor. I cannot ask the second line of defense to give me a global picture of this. Okay? They don't know what you're doing in internal audit. They say, okay, sometimes they are doing some information, but they are doing, you're the last phase of these 3 lines of defense. Okay? So make sure that you are taking the leadership on this, because for me, nobody else will be able to give me combined assurance other than internal auditors. So, last section, how to generate and measure value added. And this is where sometimes we need to take the shift from the previous key performance indicator that we have in the past. Okay? Typical KPIs that you have in internal audit. Can you give me an example of typical key performance indicator that you have in internal audit right now? Number of engagement completed. It's easy. Okay, we have 8. We have done 7. 7 out of 8. Very good. Thank you very much, Kevin, from Jacksonville, Florida. Any other type of KPIs that you are using? Sir? High impact issues. How do you value this? Number of high impact recommendation, issues, observation, recommendation. Very good. I like this. Yes, ma'am. Cost saving. I like this. Okay. A lot of people are talking about KPIs that make sense as well. So it doesn't mean that you have to take all of it out because you say, okay, I really like this as well. Okay, this is cost saving for me. Okay, I like this because okay, it cost me $500,000 for this engagement. Okay, we've saved maybe $400,000. So bottom line is $100,000. Okay, so now I'm buying this. Okay, thank you very much. But let's see how we can take a look at this. I'm going to ask you another question. I want to keep you active after lunch. Okay, I know it's not an easy phase after lunch. Okay, I like this spot, by the way, because it needs to be energetic as well. Next question. What is the level of value generated by your audit report? Now it's 100%. I'm sure it's going to move. Okay, I think we have a trend coming in. Okay, significant out of 120-something people who have answered this. You think it's significant? 82% think that it's significant. 10% are crucial. 7% negligible. And, of course, nobody said it was none. Okay. Have you asked your stakeholder the same question? If you ask your stakeholder the same question, you think it would be expecting the same perspective, okay? And I don't blame you, okay? We are internal auditors. We say we need to perform the internal audit and we need to perform a report, or have learned internal audit the way it is right now, okay? So we need to make sure that you take this into account. I started as a chief audit executive in an organization and said, okay, we're fed up of receiving these reports, okay? It was not 80% significant, it was 80% none, okay, in their view, okay? So first, you need to ask on their side, their view. They are your clients, okay? You think that you're adding value by providing reports, okay? And I was looking at this, and they would say 80%, they say that there's no value added. I said, okay. I said to my new team, okay, I had 10 auditors. I said, okay, for the next year, no more reports, okay? They were shaking. Some people were crying. They were leaving. I want to leave this organization. This is nothing, okay? There's other, sorry?
My team would be rejoicing.
Rejoicing, okay. So you can expect different, maybe, expect different things from one team to another as well, okay? So we need to be able to answer this question. So they will say, what do you want us to do? You want us to do some reporting. Try to see what you are, sorry, I don't think this is the last version, okay? But try to look at other ways, okay, out of traditional auditing, and you'll be looking at this sometime if you're looking at the previous model that I've shown you, the types of engagement that you can perform. Continuous monitoring, continuous auditing as well, okay? Major project. There should not be, okay, coming from an audit committee member, there should not be a big project in your organization, whether it's real estate, whether it's investment, whether it's information technology, and you don't have a seat at the table. If you don't have a seat at the table, I say there's something wrong, okay? If you have a seat at the table, you don't have to provide a report all the time. It's the same with continuous monitoring, continuous auditing. Sometimes we say, okay, continue monitor the situation. If you don't have to raise anything, okay, I'll take into account that everything goes well. Okay, it's the same for continuous auditing as well. Okay, of course, sometimes you need to provide some charts, some results, okay, of what you have performed as work. Okay, but don't give any reports. Okay, so I challenged my organization by doing this. So you see, they have learned. And it was not a pilot project because the 80% was saying that it was not adding value to the organization. Say, okay, we want to change this for good. Okay, and of course, sometimes progressive assurance in some organization. I think Ahmed, you were talking about this morning as well. Okay, progressive assurance. Okay, we want to start something new in the organization. Internal audit will be around the table. Okay, still being independent, not taking any decision, but giving a progressive assurance. Don't tell me after the fact when the project is done that you should have done this in the past, okay? I don't have any time machine to go in the past, nor the organization. So make sure to use these all of the things. And what we have done in this organization, does it mean that after 1 year we came back with internal audit reports? Yes, we have, of course, for the ones that are mandatory, you still have to do the reports. So don't say to the management, to the regulators, hey, my chief audit executive went a bit crazy. No reports for this year regarding compliance, regarding this law, okay? Unless you want to go to prison. What we have done, okay, we said we don't want to do any report for the next year. When we started after a year, we said, okay, we're going to try to do this, but with agile auditing. So it was shifting from a report mindset to a non-report mindset. Say, okay, this is something else that we can do. Now they were forgetting how it was tedious. It's tedious sometimes to do the reports as well, okay? Doesn't mean that if your organization, it will be well seen, okay? In some organization, they say, okay, we want to give a certain balance. We didn't go to zero report for the following year, but we said, let's go agile and come back with another approach that will be generating value, okay? And it worked well, okay? So we need to make sure to have this type of innovation regarding the organization also. Define your value driver, okay? My first thing that I'm giving to the internal audit, okay? Don't try to please everyone, okay? You cannot please everyone. We're in a situation as internal auditor, and it's the same when I'm sitting on the audit committee. Sometimes I will not be aligned with the C-suite. Okay, sometimes with some vice president, I'll say, okay, I need to have internal audit to step in and to make sure that we are bringing value to the audit committee. And the call will be making from the audit committee. But you need to make sure that you are meeting with the different stakeholders. Don't try to please everyone. Ask your internal auditor. You were saying a bit earlier on that maybe you think our reports would, if we remove the report from tomorrow, how are you flexible with this? Okay, you see that 50% will go with, 50% will go against. Okay, you will have identified maybe some key agents of change in your department as well. Okay, you want to arrive with a certain storage of common definition of added value for an internal audit. Internal audit will bring value to the organization by having maybe shorter engagement, to having maybe, of course, having a risk-based approach, but to have different tools that they have developed and with a different perspective as well. So you need to arrive with something that is common. So that's what I'm saying. You want to arrive with something that is common, but start with the audit committee and the board, okay? Because they are responsible for still responsible for the governance in the organization. So they're your key player as well. Same for strategic plan, okay? So you want to make sure that for internal audit, you will be embedding measures, okay, in your charter of value, in your mission statement, in your strategic plan as well as your audit plan, engagement, and reporting. How do we see this in organization? And these are only examples, okay? Don't look only at the impact. I love when you are mentioning a bit before the impact, okay? We had some cost saving for the organization. We have identified $2 million worth of duplicate payments in the organization last year. Kudos, that's good, okay? But look at the activities as well, okay? Why am I saying this, okay? You want to have a return on your investment, but sometimes it would not be at a short period, okay? If you have a farm with apple on this, okay? If you're only considering the impact, so meaning only the apple that you have gathered during this year, okay, it will give you an indicator, okay? But you need to have other indicators to say, okay, I've planted some trees, okay, this year. That will be maximized return on investment in 5 to 10 years. That will be good. So it's the same. If you need to invest more in data analytics, and you need to invest more sometime and maybe reducing or shortening maybe your engagement, you need to be able to measure this. If you want to be able to maximize the technology, you need to be able to maximize this. If you have only a 1 year period and you're not looking at your strategic plan, you will be missing this as well. It's the same. Sometimes I'm saying my financial investor for myself, okay, where they are investing my millions of dollars, okay? Don't be too excited. This is Canadian dollars, by the way. Okay? So I say, I don't need this money for the next year or two, okay? So give me something that I will have returns in, of course, during the next year, but 5 to 10 years, okay? So I need to have internal audit to think the same way and look at ways to measure value, but not only coming from short-term impact of their engagement, but long-term investment, maybe in the way that they are providing internal audit. Okay? So we need to be able to, and innovation is at the start. This is why I'm giving a lot of workshop and training regarding innovation in the organization, because we want to be able to discuss it with internal auditors, whether it's do we need to have less report, more report, but you need to be able to embed everything into this, starting with the strategic leadership, your service offer, like we have saying, okay, and the different value measure that we have done. So we want to make sure that you have all of this if we want to provide value to the organization, and it will be most likely in every organization that we have put this in place, okay, we have seen, okay, very good performance from internal audit, okay? And don't tell me, oh, we've passed the quality assurance, okay, coming from the IIA or for the quality assurance. For me, as an audit committee member, quality assurance should be the minimum to have in an organization, okay? I don't know if you have seen the maturity model for internal audit, okay? There's 5 levels of maturity for internal audit, okay? Internal audit standards are at level 3. But I'm expecting more from internal audit at one point if you want to add value to the organization. So it's good to pass the IIA quality, but for me, it should be a minimum for internal audit to put on the standards. We have a few minutes for the Q&A. Yes? I'll take that as a yes. First question, what innovative KPIs do you use to measure the performance of an internal audit function? Very good question. Next question. No. I think it's important to have for you to have the right KPIs, okay? Once again, it's not only the one that will have short-term impact, okay? The one that we have heard a bit before, okay? But where do we want to be in 5 years, okay? I want to use maybe information technology in 50% of my audits in 5 years. It means that you need to invest maybe a few hours. You need to hire people dedicated to this on year 2. You need to trade them. You need to put this, okay? Whether it's the example that we just raised a few minutes ago, whether it's coming from impact or coming from activities, make sure that you have medium-term or a long-term view regarding this. But you can take a look at what we have shown before. And other question, can you define what you mean by the type of audit that you have identified over 200 so far? Okay. It means that we have looked at the 2 branches that we have in internal audit, okay? Consulting and engagement. I don't know if you have seen this morning, okay? We should be shifting in 10 years. Now we should be, or most likely we are at 80% assurance and 20% consulting. It will be shifting to 60-40% in maybe the next 5 to 10 years. Why is that? Because a lot of organizations have high maturity now. Okay? Now we implemented a system, the controls, a lot of things are automated as well. We have second line of defense. So our role needs to be elevated to one point. So a lot of, I think we have close to 150 types of audit regarding assurance. Okay? Regarding, of course, we're coming with new, not new concept, but concept that already exists, but that people are not calling this. Like progressive assurance, it's a branch that we are expanding to say, okay, we want, okay, to make sure that we'll be auditing a project, transformation, or something that is ongoing. Sometimes we said before, okay, we want to wait until something is finished before we audit this. It's stable, okay, I know what are the access, okay. Now it's something, a concept that we are seeing more and more, okay. Continuous monitoring, continuous auditing, you will be able to see all of this regarding this, but we're trying to expand the one regarding consulting. You will be brutally surprised sometimes to see that people in some organizations, they don't know that internal audit, okay, can perform these type of consulting engagements. So trying to take a look at this. This is a much easier because we see everything that you will have the skill set and maybe comprehensive learning about some subject. Okay, we'll be able to provide these type of consulting services. Very good. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to all of you. Thanks for answering the question. Don't hesitate to come to see me if you have any question regarding you want to discuss passionately about internal audit. Thank you.